feel like I could, try to make a change, but it got shut down.
Good evening, and we begin with the impact of a 180 from Clackamas County's top elected official, shutting down a project that would have turned a hotel into transitional housing for people who are homeless. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Mulco. Tonight, the fallout from that decision, that single vote by Tootie Smiths, means the property manager who was ready to go is suddenly out of a job. Brian Clerkley talked to him today and joins us now. Brian.
Hey, David, the Quality Inn on Sunnyside Road in Clackamas was going to be part of the Project Turnkey, which converts hotels into shelters for people who are struggling with homelessness. Chris Siciliani was going to live on site and work as the property manager. He was going to handle everything from security to checking in residents and finding them resources. He had already started packing his stuff to move in when he found out this wasn't happening.
Chris Siciliani is looking at an opportunity that fell through. This is the Quality Inn Hotel in Clackamas County, which was supposed to be turned into transitional housing under the Project Turnkey program. County commissioners voted 3-2 back in February to buy this hotel for just over $15 million. Last week, County Chair Tootie Smiths reversed her earlier vote in favor of the purchase. Siciliani was supposed to be the property manager here.
I would check on them every single day, multiple times a day. And if they needed resources, I would contact Street Roots. I would help them get what they need.
State and Metro Affordable Housing Bond funds would have paid for this project. It would have been the first converted hotel in Clackamas County. Smith indicated that her vote reversal was due to public feedback.
The first mistake, we didn't listen to enough people to get enough buy-in to do this, so we're going to do that.
Smith went on to say county commissioners will come up with another plan on how to address homelessness. As of now, Siciliani is out of a job. He was going to live at the hotel and have most of his expenses paid for. It was going to be life-changing.
Like, I've worked in behavioral health before, and I feel like I could, try to make a change, but it got shut down.
The hotel is next to a large strip mall with several businesses, including a McMenamins. Last week, the property's landlord filed a lawsuit against the county, hoping to stop Project Turnkey. It claimed the project would violate deed restrictions and be out of harmony with the restaurant operating within the shopping center. The very next morning, after the lawsuit was filed, Chair Smith called the emergency meeting and reversed her vote, canceling the project. She maintains her vote was not influenced by the suit.
Open up your heart and listen to it. And listen to that there are people out there trying to make a change for people who need a change.
And commissioners will make an announcement soon about the next plan of action when it comes to homelessness. And Siciliani has another full-time job. He will continue to work since Project Turnkey is not happening.
Thank goodness he has another option there. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate the update. Speaking of housing, almost $50 million in federal help is now on the way to Oregon. Both Oregon senators say it's going to benefit nonprofits, state and local governments, with the goal of getting more people who are homeless into housing. Multnomah County, for instance, will receive more than $3 million. Washington State is getting almost $100 million through that same federal program.
Now to an update on the city's latest Safe Rest Village in North Portland. Those are the tiny pod homes for people who are homeless that have started opening up around the city. Construction is starting on the latest one along the Peninsula Crossing Trail in St. John's. It's a spot that already has several homeless camps. And as Blair Best reports, neighbors are worried about the impact the new village will have on the area.
The constant hum of heavy machinery marks the latest phase in the city's Peninsula Crossing Trail Safe Rest Village in North Portland. But for some nearby homeowners, it's an end to the neighborhood as they once knew it.
We feel miserable because of it. We had completely different vision for our old age to to live in peace.
For the last 40 years, George Siebert and his wife have lived in this home in North Portland.
It's a modest house, but we take pride in it.
That pride now weakening, as a temporary village for homeless people goes up 10 feet away from their living room window.
It's miserable feeling. I never thought it will happen.
He says there's been little communication from the city, though the spokesperson for the city's Safe Rest Village team says they were out talking with neighbors on Monday. They've also held stakeholder meetings and shared updates through the mail, yet some say it's still not enough.
We have been ignored. We have been absolutely, our voices have fallen on deaf ears.
This neighbor didn't want to be identified, but doesn't see the Safe Rest Village as a long-term solution. The city has yet to announce who will operate the village, which is slated to have 60 sleeping units and case management services. But once they do, the city says that organization will be in touch with neighbors. Now, right on the other side of the fence to the Safe Rest Village is this large homeless encampment, which has recently been posted for removal. Now, talking with some of the homeless people here, they say they would love a spot in that Safe Rest Village, yet the city says they can't guarantee that. City outreach crews have offered those homeless people other shelter services, yet many don't take them up on it for various reasons, including certain rules and that they don't often feel comfortable in congregate settings. George fears the state of his neighborhood would make it hard to sell if he were to move out of the home he once loved.
I don't even know who would want it.
In North Portland, Blair Best, KGW News.
New details are emerging tonight in the mass shooting at a school in Nashville. 6 people died, including 3 children, when police say a former student opened fire yesterday. Police say the shooter is 28-year-old Audrey Hale. According to investigators, the shooter was under doctor's care for an emotional disorder, but was still able to buy 7 firearms from 5 different stores in the area legally.
We also don't have a motive at this time. We feel that these students that were targeted were randomly targeted.
Police also released body cam video of officers combing through the school and eventually killing the shooter. We are not showing that here on the news at 5 o'clock, but NBC Nightly News will provide context and reporting on the footage starting at 5:30.
Such a tragedy. All right, Pat Doris is back with us now. We're making a regular thing of this,
Sure.
aren't we? It's great to have you, because this evening at 6 on The Story, part 2 of your series looking at the Greater Idaho Movement. I have to say, I love the folks you talked to in part 1. Whether or not you agree with their opinions, I definitely learned a lot, which is essentially the whole point here. So what have you got tonight? Who are you talking to?
Well, I'm talking with the number 2 in the movement for the Greater Idaho Movement, so that'll be interesting. She's one of many that I met when I spent 3 days in Eastern Oregon talking with folks. And by the way, there is a lot of frustration and anger in rural Oregon. They're angry about being ignored by those who live in the big cities and the politicians who control Oregon. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the cultural differences as well found in rural towns, and also discuss how shutting down the timber industry in the early 1990s hurt places like Grant County. We'll also hear specific complaints about statewide laws that impact rural communities, even though they vote against them. Sandy Gilson lives in Grant County. She's a board member and big supporter of the Greater Idaho Movement.
Our idea of what makes us safe, the gun laws, the Measure 114, the gun storage laws, they don't make as much sense out here as they would in Portland. And we understand why they are needed for Portland, but if I call the police in the middle of the night here, they may be 2 or 3 hours away before they get here. If I have something locked up with the trigger guard and in my safe, and unload it and follow all the rules, that person coming through the door is not going to wait for me to get that unlocked, and the police are hours away.
It's our Eastern Oregon listening tour, a chance to hear from people in the rural communities. I hope that you'll join us for our in-depth report. That's tonight on The Story at 6.
Well, thank you, Pat. Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Yes, we are. Well, let's turn to weather now. A live look outside now from our Wells Fargo sky cam. It's been a rainy, gray, blustery day around the Portland, Vancouver area. Big raindrops there on the lens. Good news is we do have a little bit of dry time on the horizon. Let's bring in Daisy Caballero now, filling in for Matt. In our first forecast, Daisy, do we have some sunshine on the way?
Laurel, I have good news. Yes, it is on the way, not as early as tonight because of this low pressure system still feeding a lot of that rain and mountain snow into those higher elevations, not just to us, but to the entire Pacific Northwest. But like I said, yes, rain will continue through much of tonight, but we will start to see a little bit of a break as we're waking up tomorrow morning as well. All right, looking at those rain totals so far today, close to 0.2 of an inch as we're looking at Vancouver, Portland, Troutdale, more than half of an inch over in Aurora. A little bit closer to that in Hillsborough, also Hood River as well. So again, the rain will continue as well. All right, and also when there is rain, there is also snow into those higher elevations. Timberline holding 25 degrees. They have seen a few inches of snow so far today, and more is on the way. And if you're planning to travel along the Cascade passes, just be very mindful. Make sure to bring those chains because they're expected to see anywhere between 3 to 6 inches of snow later tonight. All right, looking at those temperatures right now, many of us are already into the 40s. Timberline, Forest Grove, Hillsborough, 51 in Woodland. And we're also holding on to those 50s along the coastline as well, Newport, Florence, and North Bend. But we'll talk more about that 7-day forecast coming up.
All right.